Hey, Dan, how are you today, sir?
Hi, I'm trying to figure out how to get my visuals here.
Lanisa, good to see Lanisa. Just gotta mute yourself, Dan.
That's how it's done.
There you go. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. How you been?
Doing good. Oh, let me get my camera. Let me get my camera on.
Okay. There you are. Call your girl.
Hi. There we go.
Good. So yeah. So down here, down this way, the big controversies, of course, are over the shape of the pool, the new pool down here on Lincoln Park. And unfortunately, I missed the meeting on Saturday afternoon because I had a previous engagement. But we will be able to have input through the end of November, I understand. So about how the new pool should be and everything. Pretty much everybody wants a pool just as big, but people are entertaining different shapes and things like that. So just those to be interested.
Yeah. So what shapes are they talking here? Like right now it's a bowl shaped.
Well, it's round, or it's actually looks like a heel if you look at it from above. One proposal that apparently is supposedly the mayor herself favors is to have a open pool, but with a section for doing laps. So it has lanes. There's like a section with lanes, and then a bigger area for people to just swim around. So I know that's a big contender right there. But nobody wants a smaller pool. They want a bigger one.
Okay.
Or they want one that's the same size.
Hey, Arlene, just gotta unmute yourself. Good to see you.
Oh, hi, Arlene.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hey, you got my email about helping with the questions for the forum.
Yes, I did.
Good. You'll probably hear from the League of Women Voters.
Okay.
Pretty soon.
Okay.
I know Jack volunteered, but he helped with, I think, the last one. So I figured I'd give you a chance to jump in and help out.
Thank you.
Hey, Christine, how are you today? Okay, Howie's here.
Zach, did you send an agenda around?
Yeah, I did, and I sent it with the reminder email, and it's on. I finally figured out how to upload the documents to the new Cana Google page. You have to go. I had to fiddle around with it a little bit, but now the agendas and the meeting minutes are all current. Hey, Howie.
Okay, it's on the page.
Yeah. You just gotta unmute yourself.
I just did. Hey, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Howie?
Pretty good.
We got Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sure can.
You can hear me.
Yes, we can. How are you?
Oh, I'm good because we've had trouble with audio. I was just about to call you.
Oh, okay. You sound perfectly good. How are you?
And that's the nicest thing anybody said to me all day.
See, Maria, what neighborhood are you in?
mansion
Mansion. Okay, great.
for 40 some years.
Wow. Okay. And Officer Webster.
Hi, Holly.
Hi. Maria.
Hi, Maria. Hi, Zach.
Howie and Holly.
Yeah. And Howie.
Good to see you.
I can hear you guys now.
Hey, Kathy. How are you?
Well, how are you guys? How are you?
Doing great.
There. Hey, Howie.
Hi.
Hi, John.
Hi, Maria. Hi, everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Ray. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
Okay. I'm just going to give it another minute or two, folks. We have a few people coming in right now, okay? Johnson. Okay, I'm just going to mute some folks here, okay? Okay, let's get the meeting started. Hi, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the October 6th Council of Albany Neighborhood Associations meeting. I'm Zach Simpson, our chair. Just want to say hi to everybody. Welcome back. It was a quick month. Before we get on to our presenters, I just want to mention that, if anybody's interested in the Pfizer booster, you can go to covid19vaccine.health.ny.gov. I know I just signed up for a booster shot and you might qualify, so go ahead and sign up if you can. So we have some members of the Albany Police Department on. We have Officer Dan Webster, Officer Sal Storiali. Gentlemen, do you have updates on the Albany Police Department for us tonight?
Yes, sir. Just a few things. We've had some downtown burglaries, commercial burglaries in the construction areas. It's something that we're keeping an eye on. They're doing construction on several properties downtown, and people are stealing tools and stuff like that. So some we're trying to keep an eye on. That's something that's been happening the last couple of weeks. Pine Hills has big improvement over the last month. The calls are way down. Our detail is much smaller. I think that has a lot to do with some tickets that we gave, the manpower that we put out there, and all the action that the SUNY has done for us, which is invaluable. And I was going over our statistics. At this point here, we're 15% above our gun recovery from last year. We've made 73 gun arrests and got 91 guns off the street. So sometimes it doesn't seem like that, but I felt like that number was important. You know, things are getting done. It just sometimes doesn't feel like it. One other thing, statistics wise, is this time of year, stolen cars, people leave their cars running and get their cars stolen. I've been a cop for 17 years and I can't think of one time where a car wasn't stolen if they didn't have the keys, the car was running, or the keys were in the car. We don't have anybody around here that knows how to hot wire a car. So just don't leave cars running. That's a thing I think we should be pressing soon, because it's a easy crime to do. If the car is running, people will just jump in, joyride. But if anybody, that's what I got. If anybody has any questions. Perfect.
Hi, I live in the Mansion neighborhood, and I just our favorite car repair place, Miller's Corners, got broken into twice over the last week or this week.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, see, I don't know if it's one person or several people, but we get a lot of commercial burglaries down in that the downtown area. So it is something our detectives are working on. As far as I know, we haven't made any arrests on that just yet, but that is something we're definitely working on right now.
Good. Although our car's been down there a while, needs a new clutch. And so my husband came back and said, well, it's not done yet. They had a break-in, and I was kind of hoping they took our car.
The insurance money. Yeah.
Right. Shoot, I said. Okay.
Anything?
Vince, you have your hand up.
Dan, this is Vince Raguso, Eagle Hill Neighborhood Association. I was out this past weekend and meeting the neighbors and found out that on Lower Beach Avenue, that there were about 2 to 3 cars that were broken into. And they all admitted that they had left their cars unlocked. Up in the Eagle Hill Neighborhood Association, do you know of more cars that were broken in?
As I go through the stats, that is a citywide problem that is always going to be there. It's a crime of opportunity. People have to lock their car doors. I don't know how many times I've said that in my career. You really can't leave valuables in the car and leave it open. I haven't seen any, from what I can see here, there's no uptick in that neighborhood per se, compared to any other. Just have to be mindful of locking your doors.
I agree.
I express that to the neighbors. Like that is, there are certain things that we can do, right, to help ourselves with being victims. And one of them is to lock your car and keep stuff out of it.
Out of the 3 that I had contact over the weekend, one of them did call the Albany Police Department and the officer did take a report. I do not know if the other 2 had done the same. So just to pass it on.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it and see what we got for the area.
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Officer Sturley, you have anything else?
No, Dan pretty much covered everything. Just around this time of year, like Dan said, especially around the holidays, car larcenies do go up, burglaries do go up, just because a lot of people tend to get desperate for money around the holidays. So just be aware of that and keep your valuables secure and away from, not in plain sight.
There was a question in the chat from Marilyn Douglas. Any information about the initiative related to security cameras?
nothing that I've heard at this point. I know that I was told that it's something that we are trying to add cameras. And that's not my expertise. I don't know. I could look into it.
Hey, Zach, Kathy had a question down there.
Oh, Kathy, go ahead. I just gotta unmute yourself, Kathy.
Okay, hi, everyone. I have a question. There's been a lot of activity down at Carpet Inn, Red Carpet Inn, and the neighbors are getting concerned because there was a killing there last month, and people are afraid up in Bishopsgate to go down to the Stewarts. So I was just wondering, is there anything going on? And they want to know if there's any move to close the Red Carpet Inn?
Not as far as I know. I can also look into that, but I doubt it. That place has been, that's been a problem since I've been on the job. So I can't imagine that's going to go away anytime soon. But we haven't gotten any uptick of calls at Stewart's. So I think people, and plus a lot of cops go into that Stewart's quite a bit. So I think that Stewart's is pretty safe. But unfortunately, the red carpet is the red carpet.
And Dan, if I could add on to that, usually, I'll work midnights here and there, and our call volume for the red carpet, we get called there frequently, but they do have management that's very, aware of what's going on, and they do call the police when needed right away if they see anything out of the ordinary. So we do respond there, even when it doesn't seem like anything's going on, and officers are frequently circling that parking lot and making a presence.
Okay, because some of the neighbors up in Bishopsgate have come to me and asked me what we can do because they don't feel secure, they don't feel safe. They think they're gonna start moving north, coming up Shaker Road. So. Whatever.
Any other questions for the Albany Police Department? Okay, well, thank you as always, officers, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know that our first presentation tonight is representatives from BirthNet. And Esther Patterson just made it on, I think. Hi, Esther.
Did.
How are you?
Wait, I'm good. Hold on a second. Let me get video so we can actually see me. Hi.
Hi, Esther. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Well, I'm chuckling, Zach, because I didn't expect to be first. But,
well,
okay.
Betsy Mercoliano, also with BirthNet, just got on here. Hi, Betsy.
Hi. Yeah, we didn't have the Zoom link.
Yeah, we didn't have the link.
Okay.
Well, I see some familiar faces, and it's just really nice to see everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm tired of Zoom, though. I'm really tired of Zoom. Okay.
Hi, Zach.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. I just wanted to mention that the first time I heard about BirthNet was at a City Hall Rotunda event. Had to have been a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I always made a mental note of the importance of your organization and how important it was to bring your message to the Council of Albany neighborhoods. So whenever you're ready, Betsy and Esther, go right ahead.
Okay. Betsy, I think you might want to start with a little history of BirthNet, and I will just go from there, okay?
Sure. So I'm a home birth midwife and a doula and a childbirth educator and a birth activist in the Albany area, and have been working for over 40 years in this area. So I've been watching what's happening and sort of thought I knew what was going on. And then I went to a meeting of the health department rolling out some statistics about 5 years ago about maternal mortality and infant mortality in the Capital District. And the numbers that were shared showed that 5 zip codes in our area, including the one I'm sitting in, 12202, and Arbor Hills South End in particular, had worse infant mortality and maternal mortality, which means Black and it was in the Black communities.
Mhm.
Black and brown mothers and babies were dying at a rate 5 times higher than the white families, and it was the second highest in the state, behind New York City. And I literally was sick to my stomach for about 3 days, and I said, you know, this you got to be what? Because I'm naive, I guess. So at that point, we had an organization called BirthNet, which was established for educating the public about midwifery and birth options for families. And I went to the other members who were there, was just 4 of us who had started it. And I said, listen, guys, we've got to do something. We've got to change our mission. I can't not address this issue. It's hideous. So anyway, that was, I don't know, how long ago, Esther?
I don't know, 5 years?
5 years ago, something like
5
that.
years, yeah.
And since then, we did a whole lot of outreach, a whole lot of talking to the community, a whole lot of luncheons and meetings and anywhere we could talk to
Training
anybody and reaching out to, I mean, at that point, BirthNet was a board of, we weren't even a board. We were 4 white women who were just doing whatever we could. And so one of the main things we wanted to do was to reach out to the community of color, Black and brown women, and say, we want to help do something. Do you want to guide us? Do you want to give us what you think needs to happen? Tell us some stories. And from that point, we changed the mission of BirthNet and built the organization with the voices of Black and brown women at the center. Hence, Esther is one of our co-chairs. Thank you very much, Esther. And also with women of color telling us stories, lots and lots of stories about what's been happening in the hospitals, in births in this area. And it's been heart-wrenching. It's been eye-opening in a really awful way. And it's been empowering to hear the women who want to step up. And our board is now 13 women, step up and do something about this issue. And so we've been working together as a board for, I don't know, I think we settled our board about 3 years ago, and doing as much I mean, there's so many areas that need change in the hospitals, in clinics, in offices, in the way care is offered, in the way care is given, in the way people talk to people, in the way assumptions are made. I mean, we've been talking to teaching hospitals like Albany Med. We've been talking to at Grand Rounds. We have a speakers bureau, and we try to talk to anybody who will listen about what's going on and what needs to change. And then we also, and then I'll turn it over to you, Esther. We also, one of the things, I am also a doula, which is a support person for families having babies. And one of the travesties in this area a couple of years ago was that there was 1 doula of color. 2, sorry, Esther. 2. 2. And so all the women of color in this area had very little choice to have someone who looked like them helping them while they were going through labor. And so one of the things we did, it's now 2 years ago in September, 2 years ago, is we sponsored, with a lot of financial support from the community and fundraising, we sponsored a doula training workshop entirely for women of color. We scholarshiped all of them. And it was 22 women, and it was a 2 3-day weekends, all day, with a woman who is a doula trainer from New York City. And it was phenomenal. And then COVID hit. And so those doulas are working. A lot of them are working now, but it has taken longer for them to get their certification, because being able to be in the hospital with families, all that kind of stuff, has taken a big left turn because of COVID. But we're still here. So go ahead, Esther.
We are definitely here. Thank you, Betsy. She mentioned that we were a 13-member board, but she did not mention that we were all volunteers. We are women who have full-time jobs, full-time families, full-time obligations in in the community with volunteerism and a lot of other things. I'm a mom whose daughter just graduated from law school. So yeah, we are incredibly busy, but we're also incredibly passionate about the work that we do and addressing the disparities. BirthNet is many things to many people. To the woman who needs a doula because she's 30 years old and has never spent a night in the hospital for anything. And this is the very first time, and she's scared and she's educated, but she also knows that an educated woman of color will get worse care than a white woman who has just a high school education because of the disparities and because of the way that the medical community thinks of people of color. We are also to the teen mom whose doctors and nurses judge her and talk down to her. We're her advocate. We are the people who will stand for her. I've been doing birth work in this community for 25 years. Before I knew I was a doula, I was a labor coach, and I was a labor coach primarily to teen moms. They would find me because they needed someone who is not their mom, who has knowledge and who will stand for them, who will advocate for them, who will not allow doctors to just kind of do to them what they wanted to. And our teen moms are grateful for that. Many of them are now quite successful adults, and I'm very happy to say that I feel like I had a hand in that. To the immigrant woman who speaks little English, but has grown pretty comfortable with some of us because some of us may speak her language, or some of us have made her comfortable enough to be able to use that little English. We are her voice. So we are many things. To the medical staff who are truly interested in treating pregnant women with respect and dignity and cultural competence, we're their guides, we're their teachers. We are the people who help them get to the point where they understand that some of what they learned in med school is inaccurate. Black people don't have thicker skin.
At best.
Okay. And, Black people don't have thicker skin, and they don't have higher pain tolerance. That's a myth. Okay. But those are things that have been passed on for years in med schools, and they believe them. The board of BirthNet is comprised of nurses and doulas and midwives and social workers and college professors and community and human services workers. We are women who are doing things in this community and have been doing things in this community for years. And we don't look for recognition. We simply want education. We simply want to close that gap. And pardon the bad fingernails today. We really, truly just want to make sure that when you have a birth in any one of the hospitals in and around the capital region, that your birth experience is a joyous experience, that your birth experience is an experience that allows you to look fondly on it, even though you remember the pain, but you remember that you were treated well, that you were that you were treated with dignity, that your questions were answered, that people didn't just do things to you. I had a young woman who had a gaggle of interns come in with her doctor. They didn't ask if the interns could come in. That's not acceptable behavior. Ask, give her the option of, yes, you can learn from me, but don't have all of these people staring at her almost nude body and looking at her vagina like, oh boy, this is amazing. It is amazing, but she needs some dignity too. So there's a lot of things that BirthNet does and a lot of who we are to different people. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer questions. And there's not a whole lot more. We're advocates. We do doula training. We have a group of doulas who are ready to work with women. And we do a lot of legislative advocacy also. We stand in front of the governor's office. We were instrumental with other agencies and women around the state during COVID, getting the governor to sign an executive order that said doulas are not the one visitor. We're not visitors. We're part of the medical team. So during COVID, they were not allowing anyone to go in with a birthing woman. No one should have their birth experience by themselves. No one. That should never be. And they realized, the governor realized, and his people realized that, yeah, maybe this is not the smartest thing. So they allowed one doula and one support person. And that support person could have been anyone the birthing person wanted in that room with them. But it took some fighting, and it took some standing outside, and it took some letter writing, and it took some us and a whole bunch of other agencies across the state making the governor and the people who made these decisions and administrators in the hospital understand the gravity of being alone when you are giving birth. So we do a lot of things, and we are a lot of things to a lot of different people. I thank you. That is essentially us.
And we also, as well as working on the governor, we have continued to work with the different hospitals in the area, because throughout COVID, as you all obviously know, rules have changed and changed and changed back and then changed again. And in terms of a laboring or pregnant family, knowing who could be with them, whether, because many doulas, and one of the things that's been hard for our training doulas is when doulas are in training, it's best if they can work with an experienced doula for a little while. Well, that was completely out the window because we could barely get one doula in the room, much less two. And then it became, okay, so the two doulas can work, but only one can come. But you have to understand the nature of birth. Sometimes if a labor goes on or an induction goes on for a day and a half, when the hospitals were saying no one else can come in but that one doula, then that one doula had to call her family and say, well, feed the kids, take care of them, but I'm here until I'm done. And that obviously wasn't working. So we have done a lot of advocating with the hospitals about the realities of what it means for people to have doula support and to allow a doula to leave and have her partner come in and all that kind of, and all of us doulas are extremely aware of COVID, and I think all of us are vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated, yes.
Fully vaccinated and, very aware of that whole process, but at the same time, wanting to advocate for families and their support. So we've done a lot of that, and then a lot of, we are doing capacity building always, always, and we are working on our, we have a large speakers bureau, we have an advisory community, and we are exploring, I think we just decided to have a space other than my office. So we are growing, and love that you asked, Zach, because the neighborhoods need to know we're here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I learned what birth justice was that night. I've never heard the term before, and how important it is to have equality in prenatal care and after birth. So
one of the women that and then I'll shut up, but one of the women who started with us, as she was a SUNY student, she's a grad student, and she decided to pull together a storytelling project where she found women in the community who had stories to tell about how they were treated and how their births went. And she filmed them with their permission and made a collection. And that project, she actually graduated with her degree. That project continues at SUNY in the Women and Gender Studies. Is that what it's called? The Gender Studies?
And the School of Public Health does work with us too.
And that's been very profound, because they'll take those stories and they'll present them at hospitals, or they'll present them places and say, listen, because I've had nurses and doctors say to me, oh, that kind of stuff doesn't happen here. And I have to say to them, I'm sorry, but yes, it does. Okay.
Does anybody have questions? Arlene Way has her hand up.
Yes, I do.
Arlene?
Hey, Esther.
Hi.
This is a hi, Betsy. This is amazing stuff you're doing. And for the capital of New York State to be hearing, this kind of thing happening to so many people, it just blows my mind. But maybe it shouldn't. I have a question. Do you know what is causing the higher birth rates in the city neighborhoods?
There's a lot of factors.
Racism.
And the biggest factor is racism. Betsy, you nailed it. Really, it is the dismissal of concerns. I can give you an example. Serena Williams has money, has prestige, and she's a well-known athlete. And Serena Williams would have died because the doctors were dismissing her concerns. She went in, she told them she's an athlete, something's wrong with my body, and they were dismissing her. And she insisted, she insisted because she had a blood clot. And if they didn't get rid of that, she would have died. And she would have been a statistic. But who knows how to fight for, when you're a teen mom in an inner city neighborhood, do you know how to fight for the doctors to pay attention to you? If you're an immigrant mom, do you know how to fight to get a doctor to listen to you? No, your doctor's like your God. Your doctor says something and you just say, okay.
Right.
If your doctor sends you home, even though you have pain, something's not right, if the doctor says you're just fine, you go home and think you're just fine and you die. And that's a real something in communities across this state, the communities of color. This is what's happening. And it is racism, and it is the dismissiveness that happens when you're not respected, when you're not get the simple dignity that any white woman walking into a hospital would get.
And also an understanding that when someone, for instance, is having their first pregnancy and doesn't know what's going to happen, doesn't know how this whole process works, recognizing that every woman and every family deserves respectful education about how her body works, about what happens during the process, about this is what can help and this is what can make it harder. Frankly, some white women don't get that information, but the need to include women and pregnant people in their care and to bring them into, this is what's happening with your body and here are some choices that can help you work with it, is a very, very, very different approach than, here, let me tell you what's going to happen and I'll tell you when it's going to happen and I'll do it. And okay, great, thanks, bye.
Right. Or we're going to start Pitocin, like we're going to induce you, like what? Yeah.
What does that mean?
The body knows what to do 95% of the time. And I'll give that 5% because sometimes there's a complication. But 95% of the time, the body knows exactly what to do. And it just requires some patience. Questions?
Michelle Siratinsky with Beverwick. Go ahead, Michelle.
And can I just ask, where, Arlene, what neighborhood are you from? Before you're muted.
Yeah, Arbor Hill.
Great, thanks. Okay, Michelle, sorry, where are you from, Beverwick?
Yes, Beverwick. I was just wondering, how long does it take to be certified as a doula? And how long after that time do you think you will start seeing differences, that 5-to-1 ratio reduced?
Good question.
That's a great question.
When you throw COVID into the mix, a long time, but
yeah.
I mean, the
certification is not a long process,
6
right?
months?
Yeah, you can do this in 6 months to a year in normal circumstances, right? And you learn, you learn what to do. The training, initial training, is short. It was 6 days, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into the certification process. And one of the things is being at a birth. And if you're not allowed into the hospital to be at a birth, to observe the births, it creates a different problem, and it extends the process.
And in terms of when will we see changes? That's a really good question. We are actually gathering I love it. One of our board members is a statistician. Yes. And so
I'm an actuary, so I guess this comes naturally to me.
Okay.
Asking these
Yes.
questions.
We are collecting statistics from the doulas who have been working since the training. We've asked them to let us know about the births they've been to and asked very specific questions about how they were treated, whether the mother's breastfed, how long the labors were, stuff like that. And we are compiling statistics as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was really a great presentation. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Betsy, for your very important work.
Thank you for
inviting us, Zach. Really, we really appreciate it. We want the
Appreciate
opportunity every time we get an opportunity to let people know that we are in this community and we're here to do this work. And we've been here for years. We've just been quiet.
Right.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
You're very
Okay.
welcome.
Take care.
So our next presenter this evening is Maria Markovich. She is the co-chair of Housing for All, which is a local organization that focuses on affordable housing, tenant rights, and legislative priorities. So Maria, thank you for coming to Canada to speak to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And John O'Grady is a very active participant. So he may, and he has the most important job, especially during COVID. I mean, he does a lot of things for Housing for All, but he maintains the email list, which is absolutely probably now the most critical function of any organization. So anyway, thank you, John. So Housing for All is a collaboration of neighborhood and housing activists and folks and agency reps, people who support policies that would expand the supply of affordable housing, as well as provide strengthened tenant protections. For a good chunk of my life, I was part of United Tenants of Albany and retired about 6 years ago, I guess. And one of the things that so many people that we dealt with pay way over 50% of their income for housing. Sometimes 90%, sometimes all their money went to housing. And we found that was one of the major factors contributing to homelessness, is that people were evicted because they couldn't afford the rent. So we thought there needs to be other voices who call for more affordable housing. So that's what I would say is the primary goal of Housing for All. We've, over the years, especially in the last couple of years, we were very strong supporters and participants in getting the mayor's housing equity agenda adopted, which called for stronger code enforcement, changes in the ROP process, and good cause eviction. We also have been probably the primary drivers behind inclusionary housing policies. A very weak inclusionary housing policy was instituted, I think now about 4 years ago, which is the changes in the zoning law that said that developers had to set aside 5% of their housing development, and that it addressed people of incomes 5% of housing with 50 or more units and it had to address people at 100% of median income for the city of Albany. Now, you know, it was the only way to get through, so we weren't happy with it. That policy, though, has brought about, probably maybe 75 units of affordable housing on the market. They're now reviewing the zoning changes. So Housing for All is pushing for a policy now that would be that 20% of development of 20 or more buildings should be affordable, and it should be at 60% or 50% of the area median income. So that would probably address folks making about $37,000 a year. And one of the groups that certainly have been left out of affordable housing policies have been that low wage or modest wage worker. They're a little over income for the public and subsidized housing, but you know, making $37,000 a year, you know, with rents being $1,200-1,300, they can't afford that. So we're gearing up because things are happening quickly on that, and we're hoping to persuade the city to adopt these new policies. I should mention that our actions are not just in the city of Albany. We've been pretty active in pushing for supporting an affordable housing development proposed for the town of Bethlehem. And the town of Bethlehem has called for affordable housing in their comprehensive plan since 2005, but lo and behold, other than a few units of senior housing, there is no affordable housing in the town of Bethlehem. And there is a development called Selkirk Reserve that is just off 9W that would provide 72 units of housing, 12 targeted for vets. It has state funding committed, housing trust fund money, tax credit money. But it came up against a building moratorium in the town of Bethlehem. So there's been a year-long building moratorium, and the town has refused to pass a waiver to that moratorium for this development. And that, coupled with, I hate to say it, but NIMBYism, could mean that Bethlehem may lose 72 units of affordable housing if this issue isn't resolved by the end of the year. So that's primarily what we do. And you know, please join us. You know, all voices are needed. It's important that you know, people, and even looking at the town of Bethlehem, folks who work, you know, in the, you know, the Price Chopper Plazas, Home Lowe's, and all those in, you know, in Glenmont can't afford to live in the town where they work. So that's a little bit of what Housing for All does. I don't know, John, want to add anything?
I would say that about covers it.
Any questions?
Thank you, Maria. Does anybody have questions for Maria?
Just that the next Housing for All meeting is October 25th, a Monday at 6 p.m. We often meet on Mondays.
Yes, we are. I see you say, where are we located? We're all volunteers who, you know, come together via right now Zoom. So if you'd like to participate, put your email in the chat box. We don't have an office location, but we do use, you know, office space at 255 Orange Street to you know, do some of our work. So yes.
Thank you.
What do we want to say about how people could connect with our agency?
Well, you know, John, can they send you an email if they would like to be on the John has an amazing email list, so I'm afraid to be the recipient of it. But
Which
John,
Maria keeps feeding.
I can't tell you how important it is. Anyway, so how about John's if you would like to be on the next Housing for All meeting, which is, Marie said is October 25th, email John and he will put you on the list.
Put my email in the chat.
Put your email in the chat room, right?
Any other questions? Vince Ferguso, Eagle Hill.
Vince Ferguso, Eagle Hill Neighborhood Association. I'd like to have someone tell me what the word affordable housing is. Does affordable housing go per area, or does the word affordable housing include the entire city of Albany? So I'll try to clear this up. So
Sure.
If I'm down the South End, what does affordable housing mean to those people, as I am at the tail end of I'm in the 15th ward, so I'm the tail end of going out of the city. And what does affordable housing mean to us out here?
Okay, so what the federal government says that you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your gross annual income for housing. That's the formula, right? So if you were going to get in, and there's different levels of subsidy. There are deep subsidies like in public housing, and that's the formula they use. So that's kind of the standard, but unless you're in a subsidized housing development, most likely somebody making $30,000 a year is going to be paying 50-60% on the market, at least for housing right now. I mean, I'm surprised. You talk about the South End. I see rents there, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, $1,200, $1,300, $1,500. So a large percentage of people are paying over the recommended amount for housing costs.
Thank you. Maria, I got another question for you. The other question is, and I heard you mention before that supposedly 5% of a project is supposed to be affordable housing?
No. When for new development, because developers come to, get substantial tax benefits when they do new developments. So this is in all housing. If you're a developer now and you want to put up a 40-unit building in the warehouse neighborhood, which is hot neighborhood in Albany, right? Right now, you're supposed to set aside 5% of that housing as affordable. And affordable means it should be affordable to people, I think, making about $35,000 a year. Okay, so I think in that rent in that neighborhood, like let's say most of the units in that building are going to rent for $1,400-1,500, a 1-bedroom, right? The 5% of those should be rent. I think they're renting for like $850-900. So that's what it means. They have to set aside a certain number. Right now, it's 5%. Housing for All is saying we think they should set aside 20%. Now, this is all to be negotiated with the city. And it's kind of ideal because it'll be somewhat of a mixed income development is what we're looking at.
So my last question. So with the 5% of a project, does anyone from the city check to make sure?
What a question. What a question. That is one of the issues we're also calling for, which I forgot, stricter enforcement of that. It's pretty loosey-goosey right now. Yes, loosey-goosey.
5% isn't big. 5% isn't a large number of units. I mean, if you're building a 50-unit building, your project's 50 units, 10% is 5. Okay, so
Well, we're shooting
yeah.
for 20 there
So
now.
you're looking for you're looking at 2 units. You're
Yeah,
looking at
right,
only
exactly.
2 units, unless you can do 2.5. But
Right.
realistically, you're only looking at 2 units
Correct.
out of 50
Right.
that would be affordable for people who
Right.
are working poor.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
I mean, that's a real thing. You're working every day and you can't afford to live.
You're correct, Esther. But my question was, even if it would be only 1 unit, does anybody check that 5%?
A little bit, not enough. They don't advertise it. They don't, they're leaving it to the developers. So one of the things we've asked for is that they put like a part-time position or something in the budget to go through and make sure that this is, checked. Yeah, because, it's easy. The city says it's brought on, I think the number has varied between 75 and 80 units so far. But I really, and then they don't, if that person moves out, who's checking to make sure that that unit remains affordable? So there's a lot of things that really need to be improved upon for this to be a real policy that works. And that's what we're pushing for. And that's, I think housing for all in the next few months, that will be one of our major agenda items, because we see this as an opportunity, like especially, downtown, developers are going crazy about bringing more $2,000 rentals on the market.
You're correct. They want the rental on Fuller Road, which is in the city of Albany. Those rents go from $160 to $2,000.
I know.
I'd like to know who the hell can afford them.
That's a very good question.
Somebody's affording them because they keep building them.
You're right, Esther.
And I work on Broadway in the warehouse district.
Oh, okay.
And there's like, whoa, there's a company, Redburn.
Yes.
And they're just building all over the place. And you know what? When you look at those buildings, if you are someone who's a working poor, you don't even think that I'm going to be able to afford this. So you don't even apply because you don't think you'll be able to afford it. You're like, okay, so who's watching? And
Esther, I hope you're sending your email to John as we speak. And you too.
Thank you, guys.
I took John's email. So
okay,
yes, I am definitely going to.
Thank
you.
you.
But with Redburn, they do highly participate in the affordable housing programs.
That's
so I
good to know.
definitely understand, like you're seeing it and you're not sure, like the average person is not sure whether or not it's affordable for them, but they have to inquire. You know what I mean? They have to inquire, and I would encourage them to inquire. Unfortunately, not all developers find the value in affordable housing, and are trying to do different things in order to get out of those requirements. However, from what I've gotten to know about Redburn, and I'm not endorsing them or saying either way, I'm just saying my experience. That they do welcome the affordable housing piece.
That is really good to know, because I know people who are looking for apartments. Okay. And and they would never think to apply to those buildings that look like luxury apartments. They're like, I can't afford this.
Okay.
And hi, Glenessa.
Hi.
So does anybody else have questions for Maria? I think we're good.
And I've got to go. I've got another meeting. Thank you
Esther,
so
thanks
much.
for lunch. Thank you very much. All right, Maria, thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then now we're going to go over to Vakari Fox, a good friend of mine. She is the founder of Community Matters, which is a local community organization that I've worked with neighborhood cleanups. And they do a lot of other things to benefit our community at large. So Vakari, thanks for coming on.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Hi, all. Again, my name is Mccooey Fox. I'm the founder of Community Matters. So basically, we have grown over the past 2 years tremendously. I can say that. So right now we're working with Open New York. We just got legislative to pass basically harm reduction and MAT to give us some money to help with those things. So it's really big. I wish I was there, but I couldn't because I had to work. But yeah, so we do a lot. We're about to start Litter the City in all neighborhoods, including the capital region, Albany, Troy, and Schenectady, which allows to put like hats, gloves, and scarves into like a Ziploc bag. And we also have a little postcard in there that if anybody needs help, they can call our number and a brochure of places like where they can get food, mental health, resources, LGBTQIA plus help, a bunch of stuff in there. So that people have access to the things they need. Also, we're still doing resource walks in the Albany, Troy, and Schenectady area where we go door to door, giving people what we call a little resource bag, which includes information about HIV services, the brochure that I was just saying about, and like little trinkets of stuff like maybe shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, soap. Things that people don't see, you might run out of, or you might see somebody that needs it and you're like, oh, I can give this to them, or you may need it yourself. So that's exactly what we do. We also work closely with the House of Precise, which is, I'm also a daughter of, which is the LGBTQIA plus shelter for homeless youth of the LGBTQIA community. So we're doing a lot right now. Like I said, we've been alive for about 2 years now. We just had our second birthday. And we're growing, support is always there. My whole leadership is voluntary, including myself. We do not get any state aid or state funding. Everything is donation based. And we're right out of South End. I'm right here in the 7th Ward. Off of 2nd Avenue. So most of our community that we do pertain to is in the lower South End and upper 2nd Avenue as well, since we do have a lot of people that are from different countries and different areas there. We're always looking for support. We're always looking for help. We're always looking to have some legislative work. I'm trying to get more legislative office. I have talked to Mr. Breslin about a couple of things, and he agrees with me on it. So I'm working with him on a couple of things before he decides he wants to scoot out on me. But yeah, that's basically what I have. It's a light, short presentation, but that's exactly what we do. That's what we're about. And we always need help. That's basically all I can say. Any questions? We serve many communities, especially in the capital region. It's hard work trying to do Albany, Troy, and Schenectady. It's hard work, but we do the best we can.
All right. Thank you, Vakari. And it's really amazing when they go into an area of town and just start at one end of a street and they just work all the way down, and it makes a big difference to help clean up the neighborhoods around here, especially during COVID.
Yes. Yeah, we were doing all that, still going door to door with COVID, still giving out resources. We still did food, we still did Litter the City, we still helped out the local shelters. We did a lot of stuff still during COVID that, people were appreciative of. And it really made it a big difference because a lot of services did stop during COVID, but we kept going with it, because it is needed in our areas. No pun, but especially when 86 million is not going into our communities. So.
Holly Katz asked, is there a website with a donation link for Community Matters?
Yeah, so we do have right now, all donations are coming to my house. We don't have exactly, but we do have like a Cash App, VMO. And I can put my information in the group as well, my contact information, definitely about that. Like I said, we're non-funded right now, so we're kind of working on that. We're kind of trying to get funding. We're trying to get everything together as far as the donation stuff. So I will put my information in the chat for you guys.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Oh, Vakari, are you still with the T3C3?
Oh, yes, yes, I am. I'm still with
Talk about T3C3.
Yeah, so TC3C is Jesus. TC3C is basically it's a community, it's basically community members and community cops working together to figure out the struggles in our community, as such as what does proactive policing look like, what does community advisement look like, what can be different in the police academy, making certain changes. We did just announce, April did just announce about, I think it was a month ago, this upcoming police academy will have to go out basically on ride-alongs with other police officers and go to the communities and actually talk to people in the communities that they will be serving. That was not something that was implemented before, but it will be implemented now. And there's also other changes that are going on within the police academy. So those are the things we're talking about, basically everyday standard things like, you know, how does it look on 2nd and Judson compared over to Pine Hills area? You know, why is the psych more over there than it is here? You know, those different type of things, like what does resources look in our areas? What is PAL doing in our areas? You know, all those, you know, things that policing and community goes into, because we have to remember police are a part of the community. So making sure that they have good interactions, especially with this generation, because everything you do is seed up, you know? So I'm making sure that they have those good interactions, making sure they know the areas they're going to be policing in, and making sure that they know the people. And we're still having conversations around a bunch of other stuff that is going on, especially when it comes to calls, you know, which calls are mental health, which calls go to police. We're definitely working on that. Kathy Sheehan has said that she's willing to put money into the mental health call, a call unit, so that a social work unit. So where if there's certain calls that need more of a social work or mental health, they can be dispatched. Besides, of course, there will still be a unit, a police unit there, but it's not, you know, 4 units for a mental health call where it just needs a social worker. You know, so trying to implement those things, especially in the system, to make sure that people are cared for correctly. So basically, that's all I have about TC3C right now.
Thank you, Vakari. All right. Well, thank you very much, Vakari, and I'll see you soon. Is there any cleanups coming up before the end of the season?
So we stopped cleanups for right now because it's been a lot going on. We just did our last cleanup, I think it was last week. So now we're going to start Litter the City from October to usually about March, April, depending on the weather. That's when we do the Ziploc bags. We go to parks, we go down to shelters, we go to bus stations, anywhere we know that our homeless community is at. We make sure that we set them out, like we set little Ziploc bags of hats, scarves, and gloves out for them to take. You know what I mean? You never know who might be passing and it's cold. You know what I mean? Even if it's for a child, you know, a child lost their gloves. Okay. Oh, look. Okay, it's a Ziploc bag with a glove. You know, the things that serve the community. You never know how just a hat, glove, or scarves could help your community in tremendous ways. You know, we never know what the struggle is. So we are going to start that up this Saturday.
Great. Awesome. Thanks. All right. Thanks, Vakari. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, so let's go on to committee reports. John O'Grady, do you have codes committee update?
Yeah, our next meeting with Rick LaJoy is going to be a week from today, 9:30 in the morning. Anyone who wants to join the committee and your neighborhood association doesn't have a representative yet, got my email up there. It's basically for as I mentioned, representatives of each neighborhood plus other organizations for whom code enforcement is important. We've had landlords from Capital District Association or real property owners. They haven't been there in a while. United Tenants and a few other organizations. So if you're interested, send me an email.
All right, thanks so much, John. All right, for new business, we do have a couple folks that wanted to come and speak for new business. First one up, we have John Mccooey. He is the president of Belvedere Healthcare Services, and he had asked to speak to Cana and talk a little bit about his organization and his seeking of employees that live in the communities they live in. So, John, whenever you're ready, why don't you go ahead? You just got to unmute yourself.
So, Zach, I'd like to thank you and all of the people on the Zoom tonight for giving me a few minutes to reach out to all of you who have connections in the community through your neighborhood associations. I'm just going to give you a short presentation about Belvedere and some, entry-level jobs that we have. We have a great need for staff. We train them, and if after seeing this presentation, you'd like me to make a presentation to your neighborhood association, I'd be more than happy to do that. So Belvedere, can all of you see that?
Yes. Yes.
So Belvedere is a company that's been in the Capital District for 20 years. We're locally owned. We focus on supporting people with brain injury and with seniors and other people who want to remain at home rather than in an institution like a nursing home. Essentially, I'm going to let people speak for themselves.
And one day I just needed a different, direction. And I walked in and like, are you hiring? They said, yes, fill out the application. And it was in the same week I got hired.
My daughter worked with Belvedere she's been with them for over like 10 years now. And so that's how I learned about them. At the time, she worked with them. My niece worked with them. My sister-in-law worked with them. And my cousins work with them. So with Belvedere, I should say. And that's how I learned about it.
I like to say that John Mccooey, the owner, gave a lot of opportunity to people who didn't feel like there was opportunities for job for certain reasons. And he opened the door for a lot of people, and I really found that was significant.
It's one-on-one with the patient, and you get to know them better.
Working with one-on-one, you're actually working one-on-one. You actually have to know exactly what they want, what they eat, their type of day they're gonna have. As in an assisted living, I'm working with 12 different people. So I can't give my time to everybody like I do one-on-one.
With individuals, you can take your time, and if you're working with them the whole week, you can work on anything they need to work on, goals, and it works out with individual care.
You help that participant have a better day.
Especially when the participant doesn't have any family.
Mm-hmm. We become their family.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I provide transportation for them when they need to get to appointments, go out shopping, do their normal routine things that they do that they need assistance for driving.
Take care of the patient, support them as best of our ability, and just let them try to do a lot of things for themselves.
Cooking, showering, grocery shopping, assist with anything. Home care wise, some people just want to talk. Some just want that companionship. And with that companionship, they feel like you're part of their family. So they like to feel like their needs are being met, and I'm there for that.
Working at Belvedere is life-changing. It's more than just a job.
Mm-hmm. I'm here since that, 7 years of me just thinking I just needed a job. But it grows into something much more, which is being a companionship and somebody there for the clients.
To see where a person who first came through the system couldn't if you took him out, couldn't find his way back home, now he know how to catch the bus. Now he knows where he's lived. He knows how to manage his medication. And those are things that you see as you grow and see rewards as you work with the clients.
So we
Go to Belvedere, apply, and they won't disappoint you. They need you.
So we take care of people in their homes, and it is, as I say, a one-on-one job. We have very significant sign-on bonuses that work over several months. And so if that appeals to any of the groups that you guys are involved with, we'd be happy to make a presentation. If you know anybody who's looking for a job, we're definitely hiring. There's a real need. So I really want to thank you for, giving me some time to talk to you a little bit about what I really love, which is taking care of people in the community who have brain injuries and who want to stay out of nursing homes. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, John. And we have, thank you. We have a question in the chat from Glenisa. Do you offer educational opportunities for staff who may want to get medical licensure in the nursing field?
Sure. We do. First of all, we train people to get a certificate to have the job. So if you have no training, but you have an interest in working in this field, we train you and support you as you come on board. But we also, if you have an interest in becoming like a licensed practical nurse and really advancing your career, we have programs that are there with the local BOCES to support that. It's a really good question because a lot of people, they see this as an entry-level position and they want to make sure that there's someplace, that it's leading someplace. And we've been working hard to actually make sure that there's a career path for people.
Any other questions for John?
So as I said, I'd be very happy to meet with you guys individually or with your neighborhood associations if you'd, like me to talk a bit more about what we do and, put your people in contact with some of the people who work at Belvedere, just to let them know what the job is like and what it's like to be in somebody's home and support them and make a difference in their life, because it's really transforming. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's now give Gabriela Romero the floor, and she wanted to talk to us about Proposition 7. So, and you're from Center Square neighborhood, Gabriela?
So I'm in the Park South neighborhood, but
okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Zach, for
Let me
having me.
update my list here.
Yeah.
Go right ahead, Gabriela.
So my name is Gabriela Romero. I am from Park South, and I wanted to jump on here really quickly to talk about Proposition 7, which is a ballot initiative in the November 2nd general election. On the back of your ballot, there's going to be all sorts of statewide initiatives and a few local specific issues that will change our charter. And Proposition 7, aka Local Law J, will allow for our Community Police Review Board to have independent investigative power, subpoena power, and disciplinary power, which is a novel and very exciting part that I'm very interested in. The independent investigative power is important because ordinarily the Community Police Review Board needs someone to submit a complaint in order for them to go along with the internal police investigation, kind of just partnering along with them. They will have their own ability to investigate complaints brought against the police department now. And I would encourage everyone to vote yes on this. I think it's a really exciting initiative. It was passed overwhelmingly in the Common Council and it has the support of the mayor. So it really should, I would hope that it is something that's going to pass in this referendum vote, but we're getting the word out, and I will put a Google Doc sign up in the chat as well. We're soliciting people for phone banking or canvassing. The Center for Law and Justice is going door to door right now. I've been participating in some phone banking, and really whatever level of volunteering you can do, you would encourage. We have literature posted as well, so we should be dropping them in community centers and using that for door to door too. So I'm really excited about it. I'd love to answer any questions, but thanks, Zach, for having me on.
There's actually a question in the chat, and you may or may not be privy to this. How much money is allotted for the CPRB?
Yeah, that's a great question. In the new passage of Local Law J, actually 1% of the police budget will be given to the CPRB.
Okay. Dan Van Riper, Lincoln Park, with your hand up.
Hi, Gabrielle. Just wondering, how do the police, how's the police union, what is their take on this new thing?
Yeah, the police union has already filed a preliminary injunction to try and prevent this from going forward. And in speaking to the people that are fighting that, we're mirroring Rochester's litigation, which has gone back and forth in the appellate process to fight. And really the issue is the ability for the Community Police Review Board to have disciplinary power. That's really the litigatable issue there. We're fighting it out in the courts as we speak, but for right now, we're just trying to get it passed in the referendum vote.
What exactly is their objection? What is their main thing?
I'm not exactly sure what the specific objection is, but it has something to do with the members of the community being able to police the police. Like, are they able to, it's a little bit to do with union contracts, something to do with labor law. I'm just really not familiar with it, but I do know it's being litigated.
Well, so basically they don't really have a specific reason. They just don't want to have this oversight. Is that basically it?
Well, naturally, naturally, they definitely don't want that. But I think that we can give it that power, and so that's why it's being litigated. I'm not exactly sure what the specifics are of the litigation, though.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Ray, I see something in the chat. Do people realize 1% of the police budget is $500,000 and there's no accounting for it? What do you mean by that question, Ray?
I know. All right. For years, the CPRB has been given $200,000 a year, going back 20 years. And I don't believe I've ever seen an accounting for any of that money. All right. Where does they have nice trips to national conferences and everything, and that takes a good chunk of the money. Where does the rest of it go to, and why? And also, what specific training do people have to be on the CPRB? Now, I've dealt with the CPRB for a number of years, and I've seen an awful lot of people come on that had no training. And I have to wonder, is this going to be a fair and financially, fiscally responsible committee?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question, Ray. And that's a really good question. Every single person in the CPRB goes through the police academy, a specific police academy training, which allows them to understand both policing techniques in addition to investigative methods. So because they're going through that training, they're able to kind of understand a little bit more about what they are investigating and what they're watching. Really, when they are previously, before Local Law J, they partner along with the internal investigator. And with regard to where the money goes, which I think was your original question, sorry for the background noise too, if you can hear that. What I've learned from speaking with Ava Ayers, who is the prior head of the law school component of the Community Police Review Board, and she mentioned that, I think as you also know, that a large component is training. But a big part of the funding going forward is going to be independent counsel, having an attorney that's able to investigate some of these legal specific issues and consult on potential pieces of legislation.
All right, does
and
this
disciplinary things.
proposition include requirements for reporting on that funding and how the money is used?
Does local law J require that the CPRB report their budget? Is that your
Yes.
question?
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure. I can definitely, if you put your email in the chat, Ray, I can send you the language of local law J and get back to you on that.
I already have it. All right.
Okay, so then if you have the language of local law J, I think you could answer that question.
Yeah, it's not there.
Okay.
We've got a couple others that would like to ask a question.
Okay. Ray, my email's in the chat though. I would love to continue this conversation.
Yes. Joe and Karen Kniff.
Hi, how are you? So Gabriella, I'm wondering if we can have a copy or a link to a copy of this proposition. I clicked on the link you did give, and that's volunteering.
Yep. Yeah. If you also want to send me your email, I can send you that. In addition to just local law J, I can also send you the language of the Proposition 7 on the back of the ballot, in addition to the other 6 propositions that you'll see too.
Okay, thank you.
And if you send me what ward you're in, I can also send you the front of your ballot if you'd like to know who's on the ballot there too, because I have that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And so just send you an email?
Yeah, you can send me an email if you want to put your email in the chat. I can also just reach out to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. I got a couple more new business items. Thank you, Gabriella. I got a couple new business items. So with BirthNet here tonight, I just want to announce that there is the birth of a new neighborhood association in the city of Albany called the Downtown Neighborhood Association. They just formally adopted their bylaws. I've been working with them for several months now, getting put together, and now they're going to have elections of officers within the next, I think, a month or so, and they're going to be formal Cana members very soon. So that's really exciting to announce. So as far as Halloween events.
Excuse me, Zach.
Yeah,
Zach,
go ahead.
What are the boundaries?
It's a lot of those new developments down like on Pearl Street downtown, but there is a little bit of overlap, I think, and Louise could maybe clarify. I think a little bit in Sheridan Hollow and Tenbrook area, but it's mainly those new developments in the downtown area, a lot of the new residential area units. Yep. So City of Albany is doing the Halloween 2021 again this year. I just want to mention there's several locations. That's going to be Friday, October 29th from 4 to 6 at Buckingham Lake Park, Washington Park, Upper Lincoln, Westland Hills, and also in Hackett Boulevard between Cardinal and South Main. And then there's also going to be other events at the Arbor Hill and Hoffman Community Centers at 6:30 on the 29th. Cana is going to be doing a mayoral forum, a virtual mayoral forum, October 20th at 6:30. It's going to be sponsored by Cana, League of Women Voters of Albany County, the Albany chapter of the NAACP, and also the Rockefeller College of Public Policy. Is there any other new business to bring up? Okay. Joe Kniff, go ahead, sir.
I have a question about C-Click Fix. You used to keep really close track of how that was going. What is the status with that program? Have you dumped it, or are we?
No, not at all. Actually, they have I think they may have hired a new person at DGS because a lot of the old tickets got closed out. So they're actually doing really good with closing out all the old tickets. But I still use it. I'm still see quick fixing.
Well, we used it too, and I'm not happy with the results that I'm getting, but you used to send out a spreadsheet that would talk about the percentages of things that were getting fixed, and you were kind of like a report card. No longer, or what?
Not at this moment, but
Okay.
they did tackle a lot of the submitted issues.
Thank you, Zach.
Sure. Anybody else got new business? All right. Let's see. So yeah, with Downtown Neighborhood Association, that'll be great. So future meetings next month, we're doing a community conversation with some of the retiring Common Council members, Mike O'Brien, Judy Doche, and Richard Conti. And then December, we're doing our neighborhood association go-arounds. Does anybody want to volunteer to talk about their neighborhood associations in December? I can also send out an email for volunteers too. I'll send out an email. All right, and then let's see. In January, we have Darius Shanfar, City Treasurer, and Dr. Dorcia Pleers, our City Auditor, presenting. And then in February, we have Mayor Kathy Sheehan in February. So, all right. So anything else tonight, folks, before we head out?
What are your thoughts about having real meetings instead of Zoom meetings? I mean, I know we have variants of COVID going around, which prevents us from doing that, but do you have a crystal ball?
I don't. You know, I'll reach out to Scott Jozombek at the library, but as far as I know, I don't think there's large meetings happening yet in the community rooms. Does anybody know what the status is? I don't think they could capacitate our meeting.
They're not letting us have community meetings there yet.
Okay, Louise. And you usually meet at the Delaware branch, right? Anybody else have any questions? Did we lose somebody's volume? All right. All right. All right, folks. Well, I think that's going to be, oh, Holly Katz, you have your hand up? Oh, you're good?
He's clapping.
Okay.
I was just waving goodbye.
Okay.
Thanks,
Because
Zach.
you were leaving.
All right, folks. We'll
All
see you
right,
next
bye.
month.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Here, thanks.
See ya, Zach. Thank you. Nice waiting.